Right, so now that we know what are whole numbers and what are integers, let's talk about the next thing, which are rational numbers, right? Right, so what are rational numbers? Well, you would have, I assume you would have thought that, okay, these are not just the only numbers, not the only numbers that we use in our everyday life. We also use like zero point 0.5, like 1 by 2, which is also zero point 0.5, like 1 by 3, which is like 0.333, and forever threes. And what about numbers like these, whether they'll be included in integers or whole numbers? So the answer to that is that they're neither included in whole numbers nor in integers. They have a separate category called rational numbers, right? So rational numbers are all these numbers that we cannot, include in integers or whole numbers because they don't fit into the criteria of that, because they're like the complete numbers, 104, like zero point 0, that is it. This is the exact number. But if, for example, it has something after the decimal, all the, or it can be represented as a fraction, then it would be called a rational number. Although 104 could also be represented as a fraction by just putting a 1 underneath it, but unless it is not 1, it is something else. It could be, if represented in that way, it would be called as rational number, right? So although I'm not able to write this down 0.3333 because it goes still on forever, so I'm never able to write it down on a piece of paper, but I can, actually represent the value of 0.333 or 1 by 3 by just putting a dot on 3 to show it is recurring. Or I could just, write 0.56 and put a dash on it to represent that this value of 565656 goes on forever, right? So all the numbers that I'm able to represent down on a piece of paper, whether they're decimal, fraction, recurring, but they could be represented down on a piece of paper, they'll be called irrational numbers. And the last category that we want to talk about is nothing that, just I just missed something. Rational numbers also include the whole numbers, all the whole numbers, as well as all the integers, right? So all the numbers that are like this, that are not whole numbers and integers, plus the whole numbers and integers, are called rational numbers. So, the whole numbers, all the whole numbers are also the integers, and all the integers are also the rational numbers. But not all the rational numbers are integers, and not all the integers are whole numbers, right? So I hope I didn't confuse you, but this is how it goes. And then we talk about the final category of, categorization, which are irrational numbers. And simply by its name, you could suggest that irrational numbers are those which are not rational. So when I say not rational, means automatically that they are not whole numbers and not integers as well. So what kind of numbers are those which are none of these numbers that I've just mentioned above? Like, they're not included from the negative infinity to positive infinity of whole numbers, sorry, integers, not the whole numbers which are positive numbers, not the rational numbers which are, all the recurring decimals and fractions and stuff. But what are rational numbers really are? So they are basically the numbers that you cannot represent down on a piece of paper, because that's something that I what I said for the rational numbers, right? For example, the value of pi, you can never represent it down on a piece of paper, which is 3.14, and continues to go on forever without showing a repetitive pattern. The numbers come in by random, so you're never actually able to write the exact value of pi. So you just round it off to 3.14, which is the only way to represent it. Or you could just round it off to a greater decimal place value, but not exact value, because it continues to like go like forever, and there is no end to the value of pi. And similar value of the Euler's number, or phi. Phi is basically 1.61 and goes forever, and Euler number is 2.7 something, goes forever. And there are other numbers as well, like square root 2, which is 1.41, I believe, and continues to go forever. So the numbers like these decimal values, which don't have any, repetitive pattern in their value, so that we can represent them down on a piece of paper, like we did in case of zero point 0.3 or 0.565656. So those kind of numbers are called irrational numbers. By the way, these are all included in another giant category of numbers, the category of real numbers, right? So real numbers, right? They all are real numbers. And the ones that are not real numbers are called imaginary numbers, which are, you don't have to worry about them. They're not included in your syllabus right now, but you'll be learning about them soon when you go to higher levels. So this is how you understand categorization of numbers. So I hope I didn't confuse you and I made it clear to you the hierarchy of numbers.